What is up, YouTube? This is CThack. Have a Nexus 4 today. We're going to go ahead and completely disassemble this phone. I will place the LCD and digitizer as well as the middle body of the phone, since it's kind of dented up and dinged. That means everything must come out of this phone, so complete disassembly. First thing I want to show you is a couple of the tools that I will be using to disassemble this phone. First being a screwdriver with a Torx tip. A lot of displays that you buy, replacement to LCD and digitizers, will come with tools for removal. You'll also need a small Phillips screwdriver as well. I love this iSesamo tool. It's great. You can find it on eBay to help you remove the LCD screen. This is a spudger I use from iFixit to help dislodge a couple of internal parts, as well as a dental pick, which is great for removing cables off the main board. Great to get in those tight spots. The first thing that, another thing that I use actually is a couple of these plastic razor blades. You can get these on eBay for a couple of bucks as well. Great for helping remove the back covers of phones that have kind of those extra clips on them, like this Nexus 4. Be careful when you're removing and kind of taking the back off of this Nexus 4. Be careful the SIM eject slots and around the button area. Sometimes the plastic will deform if you get a little too rough with them, but you want to apply a decent amount of force. So go ahead and really kind of force that plastic razor blade in there. I actually forgot to take the 2 screws off of the back of this phone, so don't forget to do that. Probably the first thing you should do. I'll realize here in a few seconds as I start to loosen the back of this phone up. I get a little concerned, a little black plastic came out, but it doesn't seem to be part of the clip or anything. Not too big of a deal. Give it a decent amount of force to help pop off the back. Here in a second, I'll actually realize those screws. Don't make the same mistake as me, so go ahead and just remove those first. It'll make the back come off a lot easier. Oh, there we go. Look at me. Ooh, forgot to take those screws out. There are going to be 2 right next to where the USB charging port is, one to the left and one to the right. Go ahead and just remove those out, and the back of the phone will come off nice and easy. Now, I in no way say that I am a professional. I do this just kind of in my spare time for fun, tear down, replace some of my friends' phones. This happened to be one of my friends' phones that needed a screen fix. This phone has been disassembled a few times, so it will go a little bit more smoothly than a lot of the other phones that I do. There are a few screws on the back of this to remove before we start taking parts out. There are 2 silver screws down by the bottom part by the USB right here and here. There are 9 body screws which are black, and they're basically throughout the sides of the phone. I'll go ahead and remove the 2 bottom silver screws first. One down, and here is the next one. Alright, both of those are out. I'm going to remove the 2 battery screws next. These are a little bit flatter screws, so you can't really mix them up. Short screws with a flat head. Both are Phillips screws. All the internal screws that I'm removing are a small Phillips screwdriver as well. Alright, so the bottom portion and the battery screws are out, so we're going to go ahead and disconnect the battery here real quick. A quick use of the dental tool. I'll pull it right up. The battery is normally glued down in these Nexus 4s. You do want to start on the right-hand side, but give it a nice, easy pry. This one has been removed before, so the glue is a little weaker. It doesn't normally come out that easy, so be careful when you're removing your battery. The next thing I'll do is I will remove the 9 additional black screws that hold down the rest of this main board black casing. Almost finished, just a couple more to go. Man, I love this iFixit screwdriver that I have. It wasn't the most or the least expensive screwdriver out there, but I bought a little kit, and it has a ton of different attachments and different size screwdrivers, Torx and square and all sorts of stuff. I would suggest kind of investing in that if this is something that you would be doing often. I know they do have cheaper screwdrivers out there as well on iFixit. I do love their stuff. Alright, now removing the last couple screws here. Almost done. Alright, there we go. And that should be it. I'm going to go ahead and start disassembling the phone from the bottom portion where the USB is. The black body is actually in two pieces. It does take me a few seconds. It's kind of clipped in, and I find it easiest to kind of work on the left-hand side, the part that's barely off the screen that you can't see currently. If you use a dental pick or this pry tool, it does make it a little bit easier to get off. It takes me a few seconds to realize that there's a connector kind of in the middle that it has to slide into at first. Alright, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this cable. Be careful with these. Don't apply a lot of force to remove them. There are a little bit of a thin metal. You don't want to bend them. Make it easy to go back on as well. Go ahead and pry the back body. You can see me showing that there's a couple of connectors around the side that are slid on. If you just kind of push your pry tool in and give it a little bit of a tug, it does come up fairly easy. But be gentle. You don't want to break any of the connections here. This needs to kind of pop back on when we start to reassemble the phone. Alright, here we go. We're exposing the main board, the camera, and the daughter board at the bottom. I'll go ahead and disconnect a few of these cables. This is part of the LCD cable here. I'll go ahead and pry those up so we can get at the main board here. That one does have a little bit of adhesive on it, so be careful when you're prying it up. Here's an additional cable for the 3.5mm, and remove the daughter board cable down here. Go ahead and pop that up. Having this dental pick does make it fairly easy. Now this board is somewhat held down with adhesive, so be gentle as you are lifting it up. If you slide it backwards toward the top of the phone, it will come out a little bit easier. Alright, we'll go ahead and start with the main board next. Just take a second, and I realized that I didn't take off that last remaining connection to the LCD that's kind of glued to the main board. I'm going to pry it up nice and easy. Be nice and gentle. There we go. Alright, so now we can kind of wiggle that motherboard loose. Perfect. Go ahead and slide that out. A lot of people take the back camera off. I don't find it's necessary to do so. You can just keep it one piece. It makes it easier. Less parts to lose as I'm reassembling. Alright, the next up is the 3.5mm headphone jack. Go ahead and try to pry it. This is a little bit more difficult, and it takes me a second to realize that if I there's kind of a small area where I can pry up, kind of to the right in the picture currently. You can get a good handle on it. You do need to take these button pads out as well and put them into the new body if you're changing the middle bezel as well. And since we'll be taking this phone completely apart, we need to remove everything off of it so we can put the new phone pieces back together. See me struggling here for a second. I don't want to break it, so I'm giving it a good check to see how I can best pull it out. Alright, being nice and gentle. It'll take me just a couple of seconds. Alright, here we go. I realized that, oh hey, after a little bit of looking around, I can actually just pull it up right here and make it nice and easy. There we go, and I had to move the front camera as well as the 3.5mm there. Alright, the next thing, and one of the tools I forgot to mention that you have to use to remove the LCD from the phone is a heat gun. Now this phone actually has a really poor liquid optical clear adhesive repair where somebody just tried to do the digitizer and not the LCD as they're fused together. I find it fairly difficult to repair in that manner. I like to just repair the LCD and the digitizer in one unit, which is what I'll be doing in my reassembly video. I'm not saying that it can't be done, it's just a little bit more difficult, and I prefer the ease of use, and I think the screen looks a little bit better, at least from the way I do it, if it's cut up together with the factory. This is a heat gun. You can find it on eBay. They're not super expensive, 15 bucks. People say you can use a hair dryer. I find it so much easier to use a heat gun, though, because you can get it just that little bit hotter. Now, we don't want to really heat up the phone. We don't want to hurt the display if you're going to reuse it. But you do want to get the phone hot enough to kind of melt the adhesive that's gluing the LCD to the body behind it. Now, this being a LOCA repair, a liquid optical clear adhesive, that did go right. The adhesive is still there, but it's not as stuck down as it would be if it had gone correctly. There's a little bit of wet glue still behind it. So I'm not going to heat it up as much as you would need to if you're really removing the original screen off of this. You want to get it too hot, but not too hot to touch. So I'm just going to stick my Sesamo tool in here and kind of pry it up just a little bit. You can use the plastic razor blades as well as a metal spudger if you're nice and careful. You don't want to damage the LCD. Alright, I got them both removed here, and the phone is completely disassembled. Now there are a couple pieces that I want to show you to make sure that if you do have these come off during your disassembly, you know what they are. You can see that there's the main board. There's a camera attachment here on the front as well, and both come off and are connected with just a small ribbon cable, and there's your back camera. On the larger black mainboard kind of protector cover, there is the vibrating, the haptic feedback sensor there as well, and the front speaker. In case those do become removed, you can find out where to locate them back. And this is the bottom portion showing what both sides look like. Alright, this phone has been disassembled. If you want to see the reassembly video, go ahead and click on the link at the beginning of this video, and you can go ahead and take a look at that. See how I reattach the LCD. This is CTHAC. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Post any comments in the comments section. I'll put a couple of the links or as much information I can about the tools that I used in the description. Later.